There are men who announce themselves, and there are men who arrive like silence, the kind that doesn't ask permission and doesn't apologize for existing. You don't hear him first. You feel him, a pressure shift in the room, like the air decided to pay attention. The room doesn't change because he enters. It changes because something leaves, noise, desperation, the need to perform. He doesn't compete because competition is for men still proving something. He doesn't explain because explanations are for those who need validation. He doesn't correct people who misunderstand him because misunderstanding is a filter, and he lets it work. Watch closely because subtlety is his language. He isn't loud because power doesn't need echoes. He isn't urgent because time bends around men who have already made peace with patience. He isn't emotional, not because he feels nothing, but because he has already survived what would have broken others and learned what control actually costs. There is an aura around him that can't be copied, not learned and not purchased, because it isn't an accessory, it's a consequence. It's forged in isolation, in rejection, in long nights where no one clapped, no one noticed, no one cared, and he kept going anyway. This man walks like a ghost, unnoticed by the careless, but every step leaves weight, the kind you only feel after he's gone. He doesn't chase attention. Attention follows him, confused, trying to understand why it's being pulled towards something that isn't asking for it. This is not the alpha who dominates the room for applause, and not the beta who seeks approval to feel real. This is the man who stands apart watching, calculating, refining, and sharpening himself in silence, while others burn energy performing. Like Patrick Bateman staring into the mirror, measuring control rather than image. Like Tommy Shelby lighting a cigarette after chaos, unbothered because he already expected the cost. Like Ryan Gosling driving through neon silence with no destination but forward. He is not here to be liked because likability is temporary. He is here to be inevitable, and if you've met him, you already know because your instincts noticed before your mind could explain it. Now, let's descend. Number one, he moves in silence. Silence is not the absence of action. Silence is the absence of leakage. The Sigma male understands that most people betray themselves long before they realize it, not through mistakes, but through excess. They talk too much, explain too often, and narrate their intentions before those intentions are shielded by results. He does none of this. His silence is not accidental, and it is never born from fear. It is strategic, deliberate, and sharpened by awareness. When he is quiet, he's not empty. He's occupied. His mind is not drifting. It is tightening. He is calculating angles, weighing leverage, and assembling something internally that does not yet benefit from witnesses. Silence becomes a workshop, not a retreat. While others seek validation through constant expression, he seeks precision through restraint. He understands that every unnecessary word dilutes authority, and every premature explanation weakens position. In stillness, he gains information without paying for it. He lets other people speak first, because people reveal priorities, insecurities, and limits when they believe they're being casually heard. He allows pauses to stretch, because discomfort exposes character. Impatience belongs to those who need outcomes immediately. Composure belongs to those who are building outcomes that last. Silence becomes his filter. It strips away impulsive reactions, removes emotional noise, and prevents him from reacting to bait disguised as urgency. It exposes insecurity in others because insecure people rush to fill space. It protects unfinished visions because nothing fragile survives constant exposure. Most people mistake silence for passivity because they confuse motion with progress and noise with power. The Sigma male understands the inversion. The loudest man in the room is often compensating. The quietest man is often conserving. When he disappears, it is not avoidance, retreat, or loss of confidence. It is incubation. He goes underground to refine skills, restructure plans, harden discipline, and close gaps no one else notices. There are no announcements, no progress reports, and no motivational speeches. The work happens unseen. And when he returns, it feels sudden to others, almost unsettling because they were never invited into the process. His results appear abrupt only because his preparation was invisible. What they perceive as overnight success is simply delayed visibility. This is the first sign. Silence is not weakness. It is pressure building behind restraint. It is compression before force. Number 2, he is emotionally unreactive. The Sigma male is not emotionless. He is emotionally disciplined. And that distinction is where most people fail to look closely enough. Emotional reactivity is common. It is loud, fast, and easy to predict. Predictability, however, is exploitable, and the Sigma male learned this lesson early, sometimes through conflict, sometimes through betrayal, sometimes through moments when vulnerability was weaponized against him. The source matters less than the outcome. The lesson stayed. He does not grant instant emotional access, not out of fear, but out of sovereignty. His inner world is not a public space, not a forum for validation, and not a battlefield for other people's unresolved emotions. When provoked, he does not rush to defend his ego because he understands that ego defense is a trap. When criticized, he does not scramble to explain because explanation often signals insecurity. When praised, he does not inflate because inflation leads to dependency. His reactions are delayed, filtered, and consciously chosen. This is not emotional suppression because suppression leaks in destructive ways. This is mastery. Mastery is quiet. Mastery is controlled. Think of a man moving through chaos with steady hands and forward eyes, aware of everything yet owned by nothing. The Sigma male understands that emotions are signals, not commands. Anger is information, not an order. Disappointment is data, not a collapse. He processes privately what others spill publicly. He integrates loss without spectacle. He studies patterns instead of reacting to moments, which allows him to stay several steps ahead while appearing still. This unnerves people because most social dynamics rely on emotional hooks, buttons waiting to be pressed. When someone cannot provoke you, they lose leverage. When someone cannot read you easily, they begin to project their own fears, motives, and insecurities onto you. When someone cannot control your emotional responses, they grow uneasy because control is often mistaken for connection. The Sigma male becomes emotionally unpredictable, not because he is unstable, but because he is centered. His calm is not passive, it is deliberate. It is a chosen stance, reinforced daily. Over time, people sense that emotional manipulation does not work on him, that guilt fails, that drama falls flat, and that provocation dissolves into silence. That realization alone shifts power dynamics without him raising his voice, without explaining himself, and without ever announcing who he is. Number 3, he walks alone by choice. Solitude is the Sigma male's workshop, the quiet room where identity is built rather than performed. He does not romanticize loneliness, nor does he complain about it. He understands its function. Isolation to him is not a punishment, but a sharpening stone. Most people fear being alone because silence removes distractions and exposes unresolved thoughts, insecurities, and contradictions. The Sigma male has already sat with those thoughts. He has already faced himself in moments where there was no audience, no reassurance, and no escape. Because of this, he does not need constant stimulation to drown out inner noise. He knows the difference between being alone and being abandoned, and that distinction changes everything. He chooses distance not because he lacks the ability to connect, but because he understands the cost of careless connection. He has learned that proximity does not equal alignment, that not everyone who stands close is meant to walk with you. Many people drain without contributing. Many conversations entertain but do not nourish. Many relationships consume time, energy, and focus without building anything of substance. He sees this clearly, so he opts out without drama. Like a solitary figure moving through the city before sunrise, streets empty and air still, his mind remains uncluttered as he moves through life without needing to be surrounded. In this quiet, discernment sharpens, patience is trained, identity solidifies. When you spend enough time alone, you stop outsourcing validation to others. You stop waiting for applause to confirm your worth. You stop reshaping yourself to earn acceptance. This is where the Sigma male becomes dangerous in a quiet, controlled way. He does not fear losing people because he has already learned how to stand without them. His stability does not depend on constant reinforcement. When he allows someone closer, it is deliberate, earned, tested over time, not rushed by emotion or convenience. His presence in a room feels self-contained because it is. He is not scanning faces for approval or reacting to social pressure. He is observing alignment, measuring energy, and watching consistency. This is why his solitude never looks desperate or empty. It looks composed, intentional, and grounded. It carries weight. It signals a man who knows who he is, where he stands, and why he does not need to fill every silence with noise. Number 4, he does not chase, he attracts. The Sigma male does not perform desire. He does not audition for affection. He does not overextend to prove worth. And that single refusal quietly reorders every interaction around him. Attraction follows certainty, not effort. And women sense immediately that he's not trying to impress, not reaching for validation, and not bending himself into a version designed to be chosen. That absence of performance creates intrigue because it is rare. His aura is quiet, but firm. Not loud, not theatrical, but grounded in something settled. He listens fully without interrupting, without rehearsing what he will say next. When he speaks, his words are deliberate, measured, and complete. He does not explain himself twice. He leaves first, not to provoke longing, but because his life already has momentum. He does not flood attention, does not chase replies, and does not hover. He allows space, and desire grows in space the same way fire grows with oxygen. Scarcity amplifies value, and he understands this instinctively, not as a tactic or a strategy, but as a natural outcome of self-sufficiency. Like a man standing in neon light without moving, his presence is understated yet impossible to forget. He does not chase because chasing communicates need, and need dissolves polarity. He does not withdraw to manipulate or punish silence. He simply remains centered in his own direction, rooted in his routines, his goals, and his internal order. If someone aligns with his path, they walk beside him. If they don't, he continues forward without resentment, without commentary, and without collapse. This detachment is not coldness, and it is not arrogance. It is emotional independence, the ability to stand alone without performing strength or advertising indifference. Emotional independence is magnetic because it signals completeness. People are drawn to what does not ask for them, to what does not lean, beg, or bargain for attention. He does not compete for attention because he does not measure himself against others. His standards are internal, his validation self-generated, and his direction fixed long before anyone else enters the frame. Those who encounter him feel it immediately, even if they cannot articulate why. Something about his stillness unsettles comparison, disrupts games, and exposes insecurity without a word being spoken. He becomes a mirror, and not everyone is comfortable with what they see reflected back. Number 5, he treats his life as a masterpiece in progress. The Sigma male lives deliberately, not obsessively, but with intention sharpened by awareness. Every decision he makes is filtered through a long horizon rather than the hunger for immediate approval. He understands something most never slow down enough to grasp. Identity is not discovered. It is constructed quietly through repetition. What he does daily becomes who he is permanently. Habits matter because they outlive motivation. Environment matters because it either drains or multiplies energy. Discipline compounds in silence, and he respects that math. He refines his body, his mind, his schedule, and his inputs with surgical precision, not to impress, not to perform, but to function at a higher level for longer periods of time. He removes excess because excess creates friction. He simplifies because clarity preserves power. He chooses quality over quantity in relationships, information, possessions, and commitments, knowing that dilution weakens focus. His life does not appear chaotic because chaos is inefficient, and inefficiency bleeds energy that could be invested elsewhere. Like a masterpiece shaped slowly in the dark, he understands that the process matters more than applause. Most people only notice the outcome and label it luck, timing, or privilege. They never see the restraint behind the scenes, the boredom, the monotony, or the same routines executed when no one is watching. The Sigma male accepts boredom as the hidden cost of excellence. He understands that consistency outperforms intensity every time, because intensity burns out while consistency builds. His calm demeanor is not personality, it is architecture. It is the result of structure layered over time. Sleep regulated, body trained, mind guarded, solitude embraced, and focus protected. These are not aesthetic preferences or trendy self-improvement rituals. They are survival strategies in a noisy world designed to fracture attention. Over time, this discipline crystallizes into quiet authority. He does not chase validation or assert dominance because he does not need to announce what is already felt. His presence carries weight because it is grounded. He moves without urgency, speaks without excess, and acts without hesitation when the moment arrives. People sense stability before they understand it. They feel composure before they hear words. This is the Sigma male's power, not aggression, not visibility, but controlled alignment. A life engineered with purpose, pressure tested by repetition, and sharpened by restraint. Number 6, he is most dangerous when underestimated. This is the final marker, the point where understanding stops being theoretical and becomes lived reality. The Sigma male does not reveal his full range, not out of fear, not out of insecurity, but out of discipline. He understands something most never learn, that being underestimated is leverage, that silence is not emptiness, but compression, that power shown too early loses its edge. He lets people assume limits that do not exist, because assumptions are cages. People build for themselves. He allows misinterpretations to stand, because correcting them would only educate those who have not earned clarity. He does not rush to explain, justify, or soften himself for comfort. Like a figure standing just beyond the reach of light, people sense depth, but cannot measure it, feel weight, but cannot define it, and that uncertainty unsettles them more than any display ever could. Psychological distance forms naturally, and distance creates respect. Respect creates space, and space preserves autonomy. He does not seek to intimidate or dominate rooms with noise. He simply refuses to explain himself into weakness. His past has carved him in ways no one applauded. Pressures applied in silence, losses absorbed without witnesses, and resilience forged without ceremony. His restraint hides capacity, his stillness conceals momentum, and his calm masks intensity that is calibrated rather than explosive. Those who mistake his silence for softness eventually discover that restraint is not the absence of strength. It is controlled access, selective exposure, and deliberate containment. The Sigma male moves forward regardless of who notices, because his direction does not depend on applause. He builds quietly, layer by layer, structure by structure, knowing that foundations laid in silence outlast towers raised for attention. He does not need recognition to continue, and that is precisely what makes him dangerous to underestimate. He leaves impressions without leaving explanations, creates impact without announcing intent, and exits conversations before they realize they were being measured. He moves like a ghost through systems that cannot track him, builds like an architect who understands load-bearing truths, and lives like a shadow refining itself into form through pressure and time. If you have met him, you felt the tension without knowing why. If you are him, you already know the cost, the isolation, the misjudgment, the long stretches of being unseen, and you would not trade it, because clarity, autonomy, and inner sovereignty are worth more than being understood by those who never had the discipline to look deeper.